एफिशिएंसी। आपसे अगर ये क्वेश्चन पूछा जाए कि पेरेटो एफिशिएंसी के ऑल्टरनेटिव क्या हैं, तो पेरेटो एफिशिएंसी के ऑल्टरनेटिव्स में ये तीनों का नाम है। दैट इज द कोस्ट थ्योरम, कैल्डर हिक्स एफिशिएंसी एंड ब्यूकेनन। Calder criteria, as you all are saying, that it actually moves the economy, closer to Pareto optimality. How? If the maximum amount the gainers are prepared to pay to the loser to agree to the change is greater than the minimum amount loser are prepared to accept. This is Calder-Hicks compensation. Calder-Hicks compensation I will teach in detail because I think it's there in your syllabus. But for now, it's a kind of a thing that the gainer is actually trying to pay to the loser. The examples of all these things shows one thing only, that there is a possibility कि हम welfare को achieve कर सकते हैं economics में और in society में, but वो pure Pareto optimality नहीं होगी. That's all. That's all the purpose of studying these three things over here. Can I have a next slide? In the next slide, what you will see is highlight the two main conditions of Pareto optimality. So this you have to be clear. वो तो हमने बता दिया कि no one should be made, cannot be made better off without making someone worse off, but conditions meet होनी चाहिए. First condition is efficiency in exchange. You can even write these two bullet points. Efficiency in exchange is the first condition that have to be met in Pareto optimality. The first condition for Pareto optimality relates to efficiency in exchange. The required condition is that the marginal rate of substitution between any two products must be the same for every individual who consumes both. Simple. Now, in order to understand this thing, you have to know what is MRS. So what is the marginal rate of substitution? They said if the marginal rate of substitution between any two products must be the same for every individual who consumes both. But for that, you have to define what is MRS. Marginal rate of substitution क्या होता है? Yes, girls. तो बहुत बार पढ़ा है marginal rate of substitution.
Ma'am, marginal rate of substitution is the amount of one good that can be substituted for one additional unit of another good.
Okay. MRS is basically a substitution of one good at the rate of another good or in relation to another good. It is used in indifference curve में आपने इसको use किया है. When we want to, we want to increase the consumption of one good, we have to reduce the consumption of the other. And the rate at which we are substituting X for Y is known as the marginal rate of substitution. So basically, how it is interpreted. It is interpretation MRS का क्या होता है? That interpretation है that if the person is ready to, a consumer will give up, let's say 2 units of Y to obtain 1 additional unit of X. Consumer is ready to give 2 units of Y to obtain additional 1 unit of X. So as one moves down in difference curve, the marginal rate of substitution decreases. ठीक है, तो पहले क्या होता है, अब ये 2:1 है, मीनिंग y 2 देगा तब उसको उसके बदले में 1x मिलेगा. दिस इज मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन. तो मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ सब्स्टिट्यूशन यहाँ पे इसमें लिखा हुआ है that MRS between any two products must be the same for every individual who consumes both. So MRS, that is the rate of a substitution, अगर वो 2:1 है तो ये सबके लिए 2:1 होगा. It should not differ. और दूसरी चीज है, it means that the marginal rate of substitution between two consumer goods must be equal to the ratio of their prices. Since under perfect competition, every consumer aims at maximizing his utility, he will equate his MRS for two goods, X and Y, to their price ratio, which is PX upon PY. और simply ये करना है कि जितना price pay कर रहे हैं आप लोग, that should be, maximizing his utility. वो वही है that utility have to be equal to the price you are paying for that. So whatever you are obtaining. So these are the conditions which have to be met. एक MRS should be the same for everybody. And MRS, the rate of MRS will not, or the marginal rate of substitution between any two product must be the same for every individual. और दूसरी चीज है, utility have to be equal to the price you are paying for it. PX is equal to PX upon P1. These two conditions have to be met in order to have a Pareto optimality. Under the heading efficiency in exchange. Next slide. After that, there is another condition which have to be met. Now, before reading this, suppose there are two consumers who buy two goods. I think there is a diagram here. Can I have another slide? आगे ये एजवर्थ बॉक्स है, और एजवर्थ बॉक्स में बहुत सिंपल डायग्राम है. डायग्राम ज्यादा कंफ्यूजिंग नहीं है. इसको बनाइए जरा, डायग्राम को अपने कॉपीज में इसको बना लीजिए, तभी इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन आई विल गिव. एजवर्थ बॉक्स बनाइए, रेक्टेंगुलर बॉक्स बनाइए. दो आप उसको कॉन्टैक्ट लाइन, एक कॉन्टैक्ट लाइन बीच में है, दो उसको कर्व दीजिए. एक ए कर्व होगा, एक बी कर्व होगा, और टेंजेंट पॉइंट दे दीजिए. टेंजेंट पॉइंट में जहां जहां टेंजेंसी है उस कर्व से वहां वहां वो कॉन्टैक्ट कर्व जाएगा, जिसे सीसी कहते हैं. Apart from that, what is Edgeworth curve? Then you have to study what is actually Edgeworth curve and how is it different from the regular curves. तो वहां यहाँ पे मैं डेफिनेशन दे दूंगी, बट फर्स्ट मेक दिस इन योर कॉपीज. बन गया है तो बता दीजिएगा प्लीज. The Edgeworth box diagram is basically, इसमें लिख लीजिए, used in advanced mathematics for studying ethical problems. Used in advanced mathematics for studying ethical problems. This curve was introduced by Edgeworth Francis Edgeworth in 1845. Prime period लिख लीजिए 1845 to 1926. The Edgeworth box person 1 is located in the lower left is located in the lower left. Person 1 or A is located in the lower left. And person 2 in upper right corner. And person 2 in upper right corner. तो ये तो दो persons के corner होते हैं इसमें. So person A and person B. The X good is given on the horizontal axis, the Y good on the vertical. The X good is given on the horizontal axis and the Y good on the vertical. The distance between them is the total amount of good. The distance between them is the total amount of the good that they have between them. The distance between them is the total amount of the good that they have between them. So what you are taking, यहाँ पे जो आपको दिख रहा है डायग्राम में, that is OA and OB आपको दिख रहा होगा lower left corner और upper left corner में, और जो आपको X और Y के figures दिख रहे होंगे, those are on the corners of as you can see. अच्छा, Y is vertical and X is horizontal, ये भी समझ लीजिए. Now keep looking at this diagram. If you have drawn it, not drawn it, draw it again, because you have to, learn how to draw advert diagram, because ये सबसे ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल होता है in explaining mostly the problems that are given in the welfare economics. So that's why this is a very important diagram. Now, let's come to the explanation of the diagram. You don't change the slide, just leave the slide on the diagram only. Now, you just write in the bullet points what I'm telling you to write. Suppose there are two consumers A and B who have two goods X and Y. Two consumers A and B who have two goods X and Y. And each faces the price ratio Px, Py. And each faces the price ratio of Px upon Py. This is the first bullet point. First bullet point stating how many consumers are there, 2, how many goods are there, 2, and each faces the price ratio Px upon Py. Second bullet point, A will choose X and Y. A will choose X and Y such that his MRS is equal to X upon P. X के नीचे सबस्क्रिप्ट में X लिखिएगा, P के नीचे सबस्क्रिप्ट में Y लिखिएगा. So A will choose X and Y such that his marginal rate of substitution should be equal to X divided by P upon Y. Similarly, B will choose X and Y such that his MRS XY is equal to Px upon Py. This is the second bullet point. Third bullet point. Therefore, the condition for efficiency in exchange is Therefore, the condition for efficiency in exchange is MRS, AMRS XY. A को भी subscript में लिखिएगा, लेकिन पहले लिखिएगा, in the beginning. AMRS XY is equal to BMRS XY minus PX upon PY.
Ma'am, could you please repeat this point?
Last one.
Yes, ma'am.
The condition for efficiency in exchange is MRS AMRS XY is equal to BMRS XY. AMRS XY is equal to BMRS XY minus PX upon PY. Minus PX upon PY. Now again take a look at the diagram. Fourth point. Next point, whatever. The box diagram explains the optimum condition of exchange. The box diagram explains the optimum condition of exchange. The optimum condition of exchange. Next point. Take two individuals A and B. Take two individuals A and B who possesses two goods X and Y. X and Y. Take two individuals A and B who possesses two goods X and Y in fixed quantities respectively. In fixed quantities respectively, और ये fixed quantities हैं आपके सामने in fixed quantities respectively OA and OB. OA and OB. Can you see these 2 points? OA and OB?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Extreme right में आपको नीचे दिखेगा, lower right में OA और upper में दिखेगा आपको OB. So, two individual A and B who possesses two goods X and Y in fixed quantity respectively. OA is the origin for consumer A. OA is the origin for consumer A, and OB, the origin of B. So OA, A small letter में लिखिएगा. OA is the origin for consumer A. Consumer A big letter में लिखें, big capital letter. And QB, the origin for B. So the two individual who possesses two goods X and Y in fixed question respectively, in fixed quantities respectively. So ये next condition. Next. Now we will change the slide and then we'll see. Don't change it. Okay. अब next point लिखिए. The box diagram explains the optimum condition of exchange. No, you have already written this. The vertical side of the two axes OA and OB represents good Y. The vertical sides of the two axes OA and OB represents good Y, and the horizontal sides good X. So vertical side is good Y and horizontal side is good X. This is the second next point. The indifference curve, which you can see, indifference curve बने हुए हैं. The indifference curve of A is represented by A. The indifference map of A is represented by A. The curve A1, A2, A3. The curve A1, A2, A3. दिख रहे हैं आपको A1, A2, A3? Can you all see A1, A2, A3? Okay. Okay. A1, A2, A3. The individual map of A is represented by A1, A2, A3. These are the individual maps. Okay. B1, B2, B3 भी check कर लीजिए. B1, B2, B3. ये भी check कर लीजिए. B1, B2, B3. ये इंडिफरेंस कर्व बने हुए हैं. जहां पे इंडिफरेंस कर्व में टेंजेंसी है वहां से कॉन्टैक्ट लाइन गई है. So, next point. Any point within this box represents any point within this box represents a possible distribution of the two goods. Any point within this box represents a possible distribution of the two goods. A possible distribution of the two goods between two individuals. Any point within this box represents a possible distribution of the two goods between the two individuals. Take point E. If you can see E. Can you see E point? Can you see E point on the diagram? Okay. E point, take point E, where the two indifference curve A1 and B1 intersect. Where two indifference curves A1 and B1 intersect. Intersect कर रहा है E point पे. Okay. Now can you tell me at this point, at point E, how much each member is possessing? How much A is possessing and how much B is possessing? If you can answer that, then you have got the Edgeworth box. How much A is possessing and how much B is possessing? Yes, girls. Give me an answer. How much A is possessing at this point? E pe.
Ma'am, A is getting XA units of good X and YA units of good Y.
Okay. A is getting YA units of good Y and XA of good X. But इसको लिखेंगे कैसे? इसको next bullet point में लिखिए. A possesses OA YA. A possesses OA YA units of Y. OA YA units of Y and OA XA of good X. OA YA unit of Y and OA XA of good X. This is A possesses. Okay, how much B gets or how much B possesses? OB, XB unit of X, yes. Absolutely. Good answer. OB YB of Y and OB XB of X. I hope the diagram is clear to everybody. थोड़ा सा वर्क करना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज डायग्राम इतना मुश्किल नहीं होता है. So work on it and then you will understand. So A possesses OA YA unit of Y and OA XA of good X. B receives OB YB of Y and OB XB of X. OB XB of X. ओके, कॉन्टैक्ट लाइन जो आप देख रही हैं वो बीच में से टेंजेंसी पॉइंट से इंडिफरेंस कर्व के गई है. Can I have a next slide? So after this diagram, which you can see that the division is there, based on what somebody will gain and what somebody will lose. So what they have is in this diagram, basically कितना exchange होगा goods का, good A and good B का between two individuals which are mentioned here. That's the purpose of the diagram. Next diagram is the box. ये सब मैं explain कर चुकी हूँ. You can skip all this. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ो. Next slide.
Ma'am, this is the last slide.
Okay, this is the last slide. Then I will now. This is the diagram which is talking about just the efficiency of exchange. पहली condition. But यहाँ पे अब what I will do is I will give you a practical example of Pareto optimality, जिसमें कि कहाँ use होती है, so that you can make a case study out of that. Pareto optimality जो examples हैं वो बहुत सारे तरीके के आपके सामने आएंगे. Person 1 likes this and person 2 likes this, तो इसमें बताइए optimality क्या है. So different kind of examples you can quote in that. What I'm trying to say is ये goods market में भी इस्तेमाल होता है Pareto का concept. And after efficiency, after exchange efficiency, we have production efficiency, output efficiency. तो ये सारी चीजें connected हैं Pareto से. अच्छा, Pareto का real life example के लिए, right? पहला एक एग्जाम्पल लिख लीजिए. पहला एग्जाम्पल एक्सचेंज ऑफ गुड का है. पर्सन 1 लाइक्स एप्पल्स एंड डिसलाइक बनानास. पर्सन 1 लाइक्स एप्पल्स एंड डिसलाइक बनानास. ठीक है, व्हाट डज शी लाइक? पर्सन 1 लाइक्स एप्पल्स एंड शी डिसलाइक्स बनानास. ब्रैकेट में लिखिए, द मोर बनानास शी हैज द वर्स ऑफ शी इज. The more bananas she has, the worse off she is. तो एक एप्पल है, उसके पास एक बनाना है, but she likes apples, she don't like bananas, and so the more bananas she has, the worse off she is. And person 2 likes bananas and dislike apples. Okay. Now there are 100 apples and 100 bananas available. 100 apples and 100 bananas available. Now what does a Pareto optimality or Pareto efficiency say, talks about it in such examples? The only allocation that is Pareto efficient, the only allocation that is Pareto efficient is that in which person 1 has all the apples. The only allocation that is Pareto efficient is that in which person 1 has all the apples and person 2 has all the bananas. Simple है ये, देखिए उनका उसको वो चीज दे दीजिए जो उसको पसंद है, so efficiency है ये. This is Pareto efficiency in that which person 1 has all the apples and person 2 has all the bananas. There is no mixing going on. So एक ये एग्जाम्पल है आपका पेरेटो एफिशिएंसी का. इसके अलावा और एग्जाम्पल्स में लिखिए. Again, this is related to efficiency in exchange. But for that, the one person, as you can see, should have all the bananas that are available, which most people did agree and said that that is why the Pareto efficiency is not achievable. Next example. Suppose you have two children, Donald and Mary. Suppose you have two children, Donald and Mary. And they both run your two fruit and candy business. And they both run your two fruit and candy business. Two means TWO. Two fruit and candy business. Mary prefers to spend most time in the fruit business. Mary prefers to spend most time in fruit business, especially in the apple orchards. Especially in the apple orchards. Whereas Donald prefers to run the candy business. Whereas Donald preferred to run the candy business. Okay, समझ में आ रहा है? Example. दो बच्चे हैं, दो शॉप हैं, fruit and candy business. Mary prefers to spend most time in fruit business, especially in the apple orchards, and Donald prefers to run the candy business. Change the line and then write. Now, suppose you expanded the business. Another type of apple and another type of candy bar. Another type of apple and another type of candy bar. Mary would be happy if you would give her both. Okay, but Donald Donald similarly would love everything if he had to give something up to his sister. Donald similarly would love everything if he had to give something up to his sister. So he would choose the apples. In this scenario, we have three Pareto optimal points. Making either Mary or Donald happier in any of those scenarios, making either Mary or Donald happier in any of those scenarios, which involve making the other one less happy, which involve making the other one less happy. So this is the efficiency points in which they are saying that the other person, will be at a best place or would involve when the other person can, make the other one less happy. Uh, okay, so this is one example in which Pareto efficiency is there, but depending upon it also depends upon how much exchange they want, and even if they are ready for this exchange. So these are some of the two examples of Pareto efficiency. Uh, One more example of Pareto efficiency is in game theory. Game theory, because you haven't read game theory up till now, I'll tell you what is Pareto optimality in game theory. Game theory का concept you will actually study in semester 4. Game theory consists of two players, or they can be multiplayer also, and those two players or the multiplayer have their own strategies to play the game, and this strategy is depends upon the behavior of the consumer, individual. It also depends upon the circumstances in which the individual is. An outcome is Pareto efficient, and this is in terms of game theory. An outcome is Pareto efficient if there is no other outcome. An outcome is Pareto efficient if there is no other outcome that increases at least one player payoffs. Payoffs are the profits. That increases one profit भी हो सकता है, outcome भी हो सकता है. So if there is no other outcome that increases at least one player payoff, without decreasing anyone else's. That increases at least one player payoff without decreasing anyone else's. So इसी का उल्टा पेरेटो इनएफिशिएंसी हो जाएगा. इसमें लिखा है efficiency क्या है, that increase of at least one player payoff without decreasing anyone else's. This is the efficiency. Inefficiency में लिखिए an outcome is a Pareto inefficient if another outcome increases. An outcome is Pareto inefficient if another outcome increases at least one player's payoff, without decreasing anyone else's. Without decreasing anyone else's. Without decreasing anyone else's. So Pareto efficiency, optimality being used in a game theory. If you can find any more examples, क्योंकि इसको theory को जब पढ़ेंगे आप welfare economics में, तो हमेशा example तलाशिए, live examples. Something that you can relate to these theories. So let's take a break of 10 minutes. I'll be joining you again in 10 minutes for film, and rest of you can go for a population class. I'll continue with this one further. Thank you.